talking about Alabama first men's game tonight. I'm sitting here looking across as fired up as I've been since I was a student back in the day when UNLV was coming to town. So excited for their game first tonight. Then Auburn, road trip to Auburn on Thursday. It's a second opponent around, second time we played them, one of our double opponents. You look back at last game and, we were coming off the UConn game. We were coming off the false positives with our COVID situation and just got off to a really bad start and then played pretty good after that. So hopefully draw from that experience, add to the experience that we've got between now and then, and go down there with a business-like mentality and take care of business on Thursday.
Paul, go ahead.
Hey, just kind of going off what you did, the last thing you said, with the experience of this team, you don't expect anything less, right? Going into facing a team that hasn't won an SEC game.
You don't, but if you watched them last night play Mississippi State, they don't look like that. They just don't look like an 0-something team. They're still playing hard. They're still playing to the buzzer. So I don't expect it, but we are dealing with a tough situation and a tough year and a long year and all that. So you don't take anything for granted. You've got to prepare. I would hope that if we do have some bumps in the road that we continue to show some poise like we have and can overcome them. But and you don't take anything off the table. They can turn you over in a hurry. And that's always something for us that if, they rebounded so well. They killed us on the boards last time. So if they get turnovers and kill us on the boards, that means we got to really, really shoot it well. So that puts a lot of pressure on you to do on the road rather than a home game. So hopefully we can clean those two things up, do a little bit better in both of those areas, and then that would make things a little less stressful. But it'll still be, it's a game very late in the year. We were in a similar situation last year. We went to Florida in a very similar situation and lost to Florida. So we'll do our best to remind our returners and educate our destiny that wasn't here. And hopefully we'll, if we do encounter some obstacles, there'll be something new, not something we faced in the past.
One other thing I was going to note is, there'll be a quick turnaround for Auburn because they played on Tuesday. So that's could be a factor in the game.
Could be. Yeah. It's one of those things. I'm still anxious to do the research at the end of the year and see who played better or worse coming off of quick turnarounds or long layoffs. I've seen it go both ways. We had the quick turn from Friday, Sunday, and we played pretty well on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Sometimes less is more, and us coaches can overcoach. I just did my practice schedule. I wrote it all out like I wanted to do it, and then I cut it in half. So I'm not going to fall for that again. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I think us being rested is very key as well.
Russell, go ahead.
It's good to talk rebounding with you. I know Unique Thompson can wreck a game plan with what she can do on the boards, but you've been stressing rebounding, especially the loose balls that fall below her level here lately.
We have, and that, in all of coaching, what you emphasize is usually what you get. So we've done a better job emphasizing. Our kids have responded. We may try a couple things. There's been players in the past that we've assigned somebody to and say, face block them out. Don't even turn around. You just make sure she doesn't get it, and then put the responsibility on some of those others to come in there and clean that up. So we'll work with that a little bit. And I think this is one area. I haven't talked about it because we're not a big make excuse type people, but we haven't had a men's practice team this year. A lot of people went ahead and did that. I just didn't feel like it was in alignment with everything else that we were doing to be as protocol safety as we could be. So with that being said, Taylor doesn't have somebody that she's used to having to have to practice against. So even though we try to practice against ourselves, it's hard to simulate somebody like a Unique Thompson because she is, it's hard to use the word here without using unique, but she's, different. She's got that mentality and she goes after all of them. So we may try some strategies, but that would be a change up. We'll first just try to rebound better individually. And then the change up might be, hey, Taylor, Aaron, whoever, make sure she doesn't get it. And then if somebody else gets it, so be it, but that'll fall on somebody else.
Jason, go ahead.
How much do you get to celebrate? And I know you got games to play this week, but making it to the end of the regular season this week with these games and everything you've been through, and as you look ahead to postseason play.
We're patting ourselves after Joe Madden in baseball, and we try to celebrate every step along the way. We've been doing that, and last year was a valuable lesson, and you better do that because you don't know. I mean, it could still happen. I mean, guys, we could still get the call. We could all have all these tournaments and things go bad, and them say, "Hey, you're not coming to San Antonio." We know that. We will celebrate in some shape, form, or fashion, Jason. I mean, being ranked all year long, there's a lot to celebrate there. There's some big wins. We will have a moment between the end of the SEC tournament and the beginning of the NCAA tournament when there is some reflection and some celebration for sure. I think that'll be, kind of our springboard into the postseason.
And then going back to that first game, you mentioned some of the obstacles before that first game with Auburn, but they played you tight until the fourth, and you kind of about 8 minutes left in the fourth is when you took over and kind of took control. How much do you maybe look back at that, at some of the things you did before that period and then the things you did after to prepare yourself for that road game this Thursday?
The video edit that Coach Todd will show them to start practice today will be, they got off onto us like 14-0. And then the first half, I think it was 18-9 at the end of the first quarter. So they'll see that, they are certainly capable of putting that type of performance on. So they did it to Mississippi State last night. They were up 6 on Mississippi State at half. So you show it to them, tell them it happened not to Mississippi State, it happened to you. They did it to you in your building. Now you're going to be in their building. So there's plenty of clips of them to get our kids' attention. But then you show them the good as well. Hey, once we settled down and once we took care of the ball and once we did this, this, and this, they'll change. They'll make some adjustments as well. And but you show them the good, you show them the bad, and use those as experiences that you hope. Again, if you're going to make mistakes, you hope they're new ones. You hope they're not the same ones that they did to us the last time.
Brett, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, following up on Jason's question, there was a time where you were, 15th or 16th in the country and 10th in the conference. And I know you were probably kind of preaching patience, but as you've seen that climb, as you guys continue to move up and other teams fall behind you, is that satisfying at all? Just to, it's one thing to say it could happen, but just to watch it happen over the last month?
Well, I said this before the year started. I tried to get the SEC to jump out and be the torchbearer and not even list ranking standings this year, because it was pretty evident early in the year that every league was going to have a lot of cancellations and standings. Even unless you're like the Pac-12 where they play everybody home and home, it's not ever very rarely apples to apples. So that number out beside our seed or standing, we talked about it from the beginning. Don't ever let that enter your mind. It was hard because it got pointed out a lot of times on social media where our kids see it. But we knew that, playing at Kentucky and at Tennessee and at South Carolina and at A&M and at LSU, and that was going to be a real challenge. And I don't think our kids ever took their sight off the fact that it was a 16-game marathon, not a, 8 or a 10-game race. So, yeah, satisfying, but I think the way our kids have gone about handling it, that's been the most satisfying part. Not that the numbers come up or us getting into the top 16 or what Charlie Cream's top 4 brackets or whatever that stuff. But this group's got a different type of focus.
Aiden, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, maybe it's the baseball starting over the weekend that got me thinking this, but over this winning streak, are you superstitious at all? Is there anything practice routine or anything that you do personally to keep this thing going, or is it just, no, we're going one at a time? I'm
a little stitious. I get that, obviously from the office, but I'm Michael Scott, not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. And I played baseball, and I was superstitious when I played baseball, but not as bad as a basketball coach. I've got a few little things I do with the way I fold the practice schedule and the colors I type it in and things like that. But I used to be a lot worse when I was on the baseball side.
I was just wondering, because the West Wing over the shoulder, if that was maybe the show you stick with, or I can't see what show it is.
It's not the West Wing today. It's funny you mentioned that. I just finished season 4 earlier in the day, and that's where I always, now that on the rewatch, I don't ever go past season 4. So can anybody see it? And that's John Goodman. He's standing in a baseball office. Can anybody remember the movie John Goodman was a baseball scout? Got y'all stuff. It's Trouble with the Curve with Clint Eastwood and Justin Timberlake. So that's what's on back there. But no, I'm not superstitious when it comes to that deep.
Any other follow-ups for Coach regarding Auburn on Thursday?
Hey, I was going to ask one thing about we talked about a lot about Slocum, and you told me that talking about her handling the basketball, getting the ball out of the net and bringing it up. When did I visited with her earlier this week? When did that conversation take place, Mike? She couldn't really remember.
Let's see.
Good question.
Yeah, I got it written down in here somewhere. End of January, like January 30th, right before we got ready to play, right after we played Auburn, or like 1st of February.
Okay.
1st of February.
Yeah, because she just mentioned, it sounds to me like she was a good teammate. She's trying to be a good teammate, and sometimes you go
the other way, too far.
Yeah,
way too far. And I told y'all that at the beginning of the year. I worried the team would be too unselfish.
Yeah.
She's way too. I wish, like I told her, I said, I wish you'd have come in, before it got to the point that you felt like it might have been affecting your game a little bit. But it made complete, total sense to me. I use the baseball analogy that when I got moved from shortstop to second base, it was like looking at the game through a completely different lens, and I'd been moved, 25 feet across the diamond, but it changed how I saw everything. So obviously, I think getting her in her hands, just out of the net. We were getting it to her in the half court all the same ways, but it just wasn't getting it out of the net and bringing it across half court. Something that simple. And Mac is so versatile and at times really enjoys having the break of not having to bring the ball up out of the net. She likes to get down there and get set, not have the pressure on her. So it worked out great for all of us.